Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to your astrological forecast for the upcoming week. And this one will be predominantly focused on the first eclipse of 2025, which is the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo coming up on Friday for most of us, I believe. So that's what we will be diving into in more detail. We will be looking at the charts and everything. But before we get there, of course, I'm just going to name all the transits that are going to be taking place prior to the eclipse. And we'll see where we go with that. So before I go any further, as always, I would like to open this space and invite my spirit guides, my higher self, my angelic team, also my astrological team, ancestors, starseed family, and ascended masters, Akashic record keepers, and all the beings of light that wish to be present for this recording. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being here. And thank you everyone who is watching for being here. And let's just start where we are. So I'm recording this on Saturday, will be released tomorrow on Sunday. So today, Saturday, March the 8th. Moon is traveling through the sign of Cancer. I have a lot of activations going on in my chart, including my lunar return, but that's not the point of the conversation. Tomorrow on Sunday the 9th, we'll have Mercury sextile Pallas and Moon will move into sign of Leo. For some of you guys, it will be already on Monday morning. Then on Monday, we will enter into a new week with Moon in the sign of Leo, which is all about authenticity. And yeah, then on Tuesday, we'll experience Mercury conjunction with Venus. And let me just see the right page. All right, here we go. Mercury conjunction with Venus. And the last one took place on April 19th, 2024. And that took place in the sign of Aries as well. At that time, Mercury was retrograde. Venus was direct. Took place on 17 degrees, 33 minutes of Aries. This is 2024. And now we have Mercury still direct for another few days. And Venus is retrograde and they are conjuncting on 8 degrees 48 minutes. So this is an Aries decan, whereas before it was the Leo decan. So yeah, we are definitely reevaluating our values for sure. Okay, then Wednesday, Moon will move into sign of Virgo in preparation for the eclipse. Sun will make a conjunction to Saturn, 22 degrees 6 minutes of Pisces, and the last conjunction between the two took place on 28th of February 2024. So that's what we're resetting. That was right after the full moon in Virgo of 2024, which was on February 24th. So then Thursday, Moon is moving through the sign of Virgo, making a square to Jupiter, for example, opposing Saturn. And then here we go, Friday. So we might be aware that the eclipse and the full moon are not actually happening at the same time. So the actual full moon is happening for me here in a Central Standard Time, 54 minutes after midnight. The eclipse is 59 minutes after midnight, so right before 1 o'clock. The actual full moon is on 23 degrees and 56 minutes. The eclipse is 53 degrees and 23 degrees, sorry, and 58 minutes. Right, so prior to that, after that, on Friday the 14th, right after the eclipse, we'll experience Sun sextile to Uranus. So Uranus will be actually making an exact trine, almost the exact trine to the full moon and to the eclipse. And after that, on the same day, Moon will move into sign of Libra, which is all about balancing. And the first aspect Moon will make will be trine to Pluto, still currently direct on 3 degrees, 14 minutes. So this will be all about balancing the energies that are becoming illuminated to us with the full moon and the lunar eclipse. And then on Saturday, for some people like Pacific time zone, it will be still on Friday night. Mercury is stationed in retrograde in Aries on 9 degrees 35 minutes, pretty much exact conjunct my Mercury. And Mercury will, as I already spoke about previously, Mercury will return into the sign of Pisces on 29th, which is the day of the solar eclipse in Aries, and then will station direct on April 7th, which is before the full moon in Libra, on 26 degrees 49 minutes of Pisces, and then Mercury will return back into the sign of Aries on April 16th, which is right after the full moon in Libra, which is not an eclipse. So we'll end this week right after the eclipse with Mercury retrograde. Mercury is the ruler of the eclipse because, of course, Virgo. And we will also end the week with Moon in the sign of Libra. Moon will move into sign of Scorpio in the early hours of Monday the 17th. And also on Sunday, we'll have Pallas making a sextile to Mercury retrograde in Aries. Okay, so this is technically what's going on. And then, of course, there are some aspects that are already present for this lunation that will be becoming exact the following week, but we'll talk about it next time. So let's just see the charts. All right, so here we go. This is the new moon, the seeded, the energy that we will be experiencing now with this full moon, this is the full moon, 0054, 23 degrees, 56 minutes. So this is the full moon. This is the eclipse, 59 minutes after midnight, 53 degrees, 58 minutes. This is the eclipse. And then this year we'll be blessed with two new moons in Virgo. One will be, as soon as this thing moves, I can show the chart. Yeah, one will be in August. Yeah, August 23rd, we'll have a new moon in Virgo. This is where the cycle that began last year in September 2nd, this is where the cycle will reset, 23rd of August 2025 on 0 degrees of Virgo. And we can see everything will be in a new place. Uranus will be already in Gemini. Saturn, Neptune will be in Aries, retrograde at the point. Pluto is retrograde because Pluto is becoming, stationed in retrograde in May. So yeah, and I will have an exact trine between the notes and my notes. So anyway, so this is the first new moon in Virgo, which we'll experience in August on 0 degrees, and then the second new moon in Virgo, which will be on 29 degrees. Well, again, the eclipse and the lunation have different degrees. So the actual eclipse will be on 28 degrees and 59 minutes. So this will be 21st of September 2025. That will be new moon solar eclipse in Virgo, and then the actual new moon will be on 29 degrees. In some places it's showing 4 minutes, in some places 5 minutes, but either way 29 degrees. So more or less we're going to have the new moon in Virgo in August on 0 degrees, and the second new moon in Virgo, which is the eclipse, on 29 degrees. So here we have the anaretic degrees at play. And then the next full moon in Virgo next year will be also an eclipse, and that will be on the free portal. Free portal 2026 will have the next full moon in Virgo, lunar eclipse on 12 degrees, 53 minutes. Okay, so let's just go from the beginning. 2nd of September 2024, what happened there? Oh, we just had Pluto moved into the sign of Capricorn for the final time. Where is Capricorn? Here. Yes, Pluto just moved into the sign of Capricorn, 29 degrees, 58 minutes, 2 days before. And also Uranus, I believe, just stationed retrograde, right? Stationed retrograde shortly after Pluto moved into the sign of Capricorn. And yeah, we can see that Venus was just about to have a conjunction with South Node. This was 2 days later on September 4th. So this was a closing phase between Venus and South Node. At the time, Venus was the ruler of the South Node. You can see Venus was exactly conjunct Lilith, Black Moon Lilith. And yeah, this was all supported by Pluto. The exact trine between Pluto and South Node took place later on that year in December. Actually, it was right with the new moon in Capricorn, right? The one on the 30th or 31st of December, depending where you were in the world at that time. And also we had the second conjunction between Venus and Pluto in December, the second conjunction for 2024. Okay, and here we have also the Neptune North Node closing phase. We already had the conjunction now in February, so there were a lot of combinations, but at the same time also we had a new phase conjunction between Jupiter and Mars. So new choices, new stories. Jupiter was still direct. Jupiter stationed retrograde the following month in October, right after the eclipse in Libra. So yeah, it's 11/11. So let's just mention that. Yeah, Mars at the time was making almost an exact square with Neptune. This is a first quarter square. New choices have to be made because there are things that now lost meaning. And a lot of that is to do with the relationships in the opposition, right? The relationships, relational dynamics, where we're going, we need to make a new choice. A lot of pressure. We experience quite a lot of energy building up towards the end of 2024 because of everything else that was going on there. And yeah, opposition between the new moon in Virgo and Saturn. So things that has to be balanced. Saturn was retrograde retrograde, and Saturn being in a sign of Pisces, ruled by Uranus, Neptune being in a sign of Pisces. And actually, yes, Uranus and Neptune had the sextile, and Uranus and Pluto had the trine. So this is all supporting our evolution, making new choices, going in new directions, because the old way of being, this 11 degrees, this is a mass number frequency. And actually here it's also a sixth house. The 11 degrees, this is already a Capricorn decan of Virgo, and Saturn here was opposing the moon. So this is all about letting go of the external authority and allowing yourself to become your own leader. With the Mars being in Gemini, you can move in any direction you want. 28 degrees, that's a 10. Next year, the reset. And also this is an Aquarian decan, setting yourself free. This is 4 degrees, so that's Cancer degree, by becoming a new version of yourself. So this is what got seeded in September 2024, with Pluto on 29 degrees and Neptune on 29 degrees, analytic degrees. Things are maxed out. They no longer hold a meaning, because Saturn in opposition, retrograde in Pisces in opposition with the Virgo moon, things have to be balanced. And here we have the balance point, the illumination. Full moon is a balance point in the it's the midpoint. As I mentioned, we'll have 2 new moons in Virgo this year. One will be 0 degrees, one will be the eclipse 29 degrees, more or less. So that's when the cycle that began on 2nd of September 2024 will reset, and this is the midway point. So a lot of things are becoming illuminated to us. We also have this beautiful kite at play, and yeah, this is the actual full moon, right? Exact full moon. We can see Saturn is again active. Saturn is in a closing phase with Sun. They literally just had a conjunction a few days prior. And yeah, Sun is just about to conjunct North Node a few days after that. 17th of March, exactly on my Pluto square. Yeah, and the exact conjunction between Sun and Saturn is taking place 2 days before, on March 12th. So because it's Sun, and Sun is special, this is putting Saturn in a closing phase, balsamic phase, which is again about dissolving, letting go. And with regards to Sun and North Node, this is also a closing phase, which is again about culminations. So technically, this moon is happening this eclipse is happening in a closing phase with the nodes. Closing phase. Sun is in a closing phase with the North Node, and Moon is in a closing phase with the South Node. Also, Sun and Neptune, well, technically this is the end of their cycle that began last year, but the exact conjunction is going to happen the following week. And also the conjunction between the Sun and Venus will happen the following week. We have also here the new phase between Venus and Mercury, because that's taking place on the 11th. And also there is a in conjunction between Chiron and the moon. So we don't know where we're going. This is the 21 degrees. 21 degrees is, let me quickly count, that's, I believe, the Sagittarius degree. Yeah, number 3, it would make sense. Yes, expansion. 21. 21 is also the world card in a tarot, which is all about culmination. So Chiron being on 21 degrees of Aries, this is a Sagittarius decan and Sagittarius degree, apparently. And yeah, and it's making in conjunction to the moon, ruled by Mercury. And Mercury currently is the ruler of Jupiter, right? And Jupiter is on the second decan, Libra decan. This is actually an Aries degree, and we have the full moon, which represents the Libra quality, because it's the opposition, right? Sun and the moon is in opposition. So we have a lot of things that are going on here. A lot of them are closing and new phases. Again, Pisces, Aries, stellium. So a lot of things are ending, a lot of things are beginning. Again, this is a midpoint, so we have the opportunity to choose. Mercury is still in Aries. At this point, Mercury is still direct, even though Mercury is going to be retrograde the following date. 15th of March, Mercury stations retrograde, and Mercury is closing to Chiron, but the exact conjunction is not taking place until, I believe, May. So I don't have the exact data written down here, but I believe it's in May, because Mercury is still, yeah, Mercury is going to come out of his shadow on my birthday, which is the 26th. Yeah, so it's going to be in May. So yeah, what else is going on here? Yeah, as I already mentioned, Uranus is making an inexact trine to the moon or the eclipse. I mean, the chart, we can see actually the chart is very different here. Oh, wait, this is not even the same thing. Here's the chart. Okay. 12 degrees Sag, 14 degrees Sag. Jupiter exactly conjunct the descendant. So yeah, so there is the exact trine between Uranus and the moon, which is all about breaking free and liberation. What are we liberating from? The servitude, right? The closing phase between South Node and Moon. Mercury now is being in Aries. This is again Sagittarius degree, 9 degrees, 9 degrees, 9 degrees. This is the year we are at, the year of Hermit, going deep within to find a new direction, how to follow our own star, our own future, our own destiny. And that's technically this Uranus over here. Uranus 24 degrees, that is a Pisces degree. So Uranus is in Taurus. No, everybody just is here to be attached to material possession and just to like strive to survive, sacrifice to survive. So what this really represents is closing phase between the moon and the south node. This is the actual eclipse, 23 degrees 58 minutes. This is about us closing the way of being and serving as a soul incarnate being in a physical human body that is through sacrifice. Because Venus is in Aries, Venus is our values, our relational dynamic, 7 degrees, which is the Neptune. So again, how do we find the deeper meaning? This is a chariot in the tarot, which is all about your sense of self, right? The Cancer. Also, we have the square coming up, not yet, coming up, square between Venus and Mars. I didn't write it down when exactly it is, but it's next month. Square between Venus and Mars. And this is a closing square between Venus and Mars. So this is a crisis in consciousness. What do we need to break ourselves free from? And Venus is the ruler of Libra and is the Venus of Uranus. Uranus is the ruler of Pluto at the moment. Pluto is actually on 3 degrees 12 minutes. That's free. Again, co-creation, collaboration with spirit, serving in a new way. Uranus is sextiling, supporting this eclipse, trining the moon. Well, actually, no, it's sextiling the sun, trining the eclipse, trining the moon, because it's a full moon. And also Uranus is coming into the exact trine with the south node. Do I have that written down? Uranus, south node, trine. I wrote so many notes, but I don't think so. Uranus, trine, south node. I believe that's in April as well. Okay. So yeah, also there is that square. Yeah, this is an out of sign square between Lilith and Pluto. Again, all about balancing our guilt and shame with regards to the societal conditioning. Venus being in Aries, Venus is retrograde. So Venus is really helping us now being retrograde to come into terms with our relational dynamics and especially help us to redefine them, because we cannot change something we cannot accept. If we are in resistance with something, we cannot change it, because what we resist persists. So Venus being retrograde now in the sign of Aries, it's helping us to go from, well, Pisces, these things lost meaning, then Aries, okay, there is an inspiration and there is a desire for something different, for something new, and now she's going backwards. So she's making us to really reevaluate and feel into it and sit with it and go like, what do I really want? What really matters to me? And also the same for Mercury, because Mercury is just about to station retrograde here. So Mercury is going to make us to ask questions, from Aries back to Pisces. What holds a meaning, this way of thinking? Is it important to be right, or is it more important for me to be happy? Is it important to hold this legacy, because of everything that took place before, the ancestors, and you did this to me and I did this to you and all the rest of it, these cultural conflicts and stuff like that, religious conflict? Or is it more important for us to move in this new direction? Aries, right? Mars is in Cancer. So Mars is on 18 degrees. This is a Scorpio decan. This is again a Virgo, right? 18, that's Virgo degree. So we're making an adjustment with regards to who we're becoming, because we're growing, right? This is an illumination of something that began in September. Obviously, cycles within cycles. It didn't just like got seeded there, and that was like not a continuation of previous cycles, because every new moon is a reset of a previous cycle, but the cycles build on the top of one another. So there is always a continuation of the evolution, right? So with the last new moon in Virgo, with the 59 degrees Pluto in Capricorn for the final time, and 59 degrees, 29 degrees. Did I say 59 degrees? 29 degrees of Pluto in Capricorn and Neptune on 29 degrees on Pisces for the first time. Obviously, we have Neptune here on 29 degrees again, but now Neptune is just about to be moving into, and yeah, that's interesting actually. Neptune was retrograde 29 degrees with the new moon, right? 29 degrees exact, yes, 29 degrees exact. And here Neptune is 29 degrees again, but it's direct because Neptune is going to be moving into the sign of Aries right after the solar eclipse in Aries, right, on the 30th, 11/22. As I said that. So yeah, so these analytic degrees are very important. And also we have a lot of nines here. This is 9, also 1 and 8 is 9. This is 11, master number frequency. This is 9, 27, 9. The nodes are on number that adds up to 9. So there are a lot of culminations, a lot of things are ending because since September we realize a lot of things. Just like with any full moon, we realize a lot of things, and this is with regards to Virgo. How do we want to show up? How do we want to live? How do we want to serve, right? Because Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, which is the choice. We have Jupiter there, which is the expansion opportunity to expand through a new choice. Jupiter is now on 13, which is again the Aries, right? 12 plus 1, 13. And also the number 13 is the death card in a tarot. So we in order to create this new reality, and this is something that's been repeated many times, in order to create the different reality, to create a different manifestation, it has to be created from a different level of consciousness. So that's why we're going through this accelerated, obviously, Uranus is trying the eclipse, accelerated process of purging this evolution, accelerated process of letting go of the past in order to prepare us for the next step of the journey, which is the 2026, the reset. And yeah, in between then and now, we're going to have the 2 new moons in Virgo, which is the 0 degree and 29 degrees. The second one being the eclipse. So these are all very, very potent energies. And then obviously the eclipse next year being on free portal. Again, that's a free is the co-creation on 12 degrees, number 3 again, and 53 minutes. But, again, the minutes will be variable because we'll have the full moon and eclipse. So yeah, but it's on 12 degrees. So that is the hangman, right? 12, that is the hangman, which is the Neptune. Like again, we might not see, and also these two in conjunctions, yes, the Chiron to the moon, and also Lilith and the node, Lilith on the and the north node. We don't see, we don't know really like where we're going and what this new way of being, this new way of serving will look like, because in a sense. Again, because we can see everything being in Pisces and Virgo with a few, exceptions, being scattered around the place, like Mars being a sign of Cancer. This is all helping us to establish a new sense of self, which will make us feel more empowered and help us to create this new story. uh, Jupiter being there on like technically Aries degrees, what story are you creating? This is a Libra decan. You can choose. You can choose for yourself. Uranus being on 24 degrees, Pisces degrees, final decan of Taurus, Capricorn, by letting go of the external authority and becoming your own authority, following your own needs and values. And what do you want to create? What do you feel you're worth? Right? What do you want to manifest? Uranus, working with the quantum field. Uranus is supportive. Even here, Uranus and Saturn, they're having a sextile. The exact sextile is coming up, but they having already a sextile only 2 degrees apart, right? And this is a closing sextile between Saturn and Uranus, which is again an Aquarian flavor. It's preparing for the conjunction. So this is all about breaking free. What we breaking free from? Being told how to live our life, right? Because that now lost meaning. Neptune is conjunct North Node, new phase. We are creating a new sense of meaning. Neptune is just about to go into Aries at the end of the month. That is a completely new direction for us, right? And Sun is just about to have a conjunction with the North Node. We're resetting the meaning. Sun is ending its transit through the sign of Pisces. Will be moving soon into the Aries season. So this end of this astrological year is also ending. There are a lot of things that are ending, and we have to decide. In a sense, this Jupiter is I mean, it's a white orb more than 10 degrees because the minutes are past, but it's technically still square in the eclipse. Jupiter is still square in the eclipse. We can see it's like disseminating now, but it's still 13 to 23, it's 10-degree orb. So Jupiter is still square in that eclipse. So it's creating this pressure to choose because Mercury here is in Aries and it's just about to station retrograde. So it's saying we'll need to really decide, like, what do I want to choose to think in order to create the story that I want to see manifest, that I want to experience going forward. So that's why Mercury is going to go retrograde again in Aries, just like it was last year. It was retrograde in Aries throughout April. So it was helping us to reset the way of seeing things. And now we are building up on the same topic, and Mercury and Venus are going to have the second conjunction in the sign of Aries. But like I said, last year it was on Leo decan. Now it's actually still on Aries decan, right? Yeah. Because the sense of our authentic expression has changed since 1 year, since April 2024, because that was the new moon solar eclipse in a new phase conjunction. We didn't know. We didn't know where we're going. We still don't know fully where we're going, but we know what doesn't work for us anymore because now the nodes moved into Virgo Pisces. We had the 3 years of nodes being ruled by Mars and Venus that were showing us, like, is this the direction? Is this allowing me to have my needs met? Is this allowing me to show up in a society in a way that I feel connected, that I feel excited about, that I feel also appreciated, without seeking external validation? But the external environment always offers a mirror, it always offers a feedback, right? So now with this Virgo and Pisces, it is all about the adjustments and letting go, in seeking of a deeper meaning, in a seeking of a deeper connection to all that is, because Pisces is the totality, Pisces is the source, Pisces is where we all came from and where we all return to. So with the Saturn in the closing balsamic phase conjunction with the Sun, even though they just had a conjunction 2 days ago, so technically it's a new cycle begun, but as a fixed point in the sky, which is what we're looking at here, this is a closing phase, balsamic phase. The old way of being is ending. It's ending, and there is a lot of nostalgia attached to it. Last time we had the new moon in Virgo, we had Pluto on 29 degrees of Capricorn. It's ending. There is this new way that is coming through, but it's not yet manifest. We don't yet see it. We only see the totality of what was. This is all the closing phases. Closing phases, what was, or what needs to be amended, what needs to be released in order for us to create space for these new energies to come through, and who we need to become in order to be a frequency match, right? There's the square between Mars, Venus, Mercury, and Chiron. Mars is square in all of the three of them, because of the stellium and technically everything, because all of this is in connection with one another. Things are ending, but there are new things already beginning, but the new things are being reevaluated because Venus is retrograde, Mercury is just about to go retrograde. We need to gain more clarity to feel more inspired because we need to know what we're doing this for. What is the meaning? Like, why am I even getting out of the bed? Like, what is the inspiration? What is this new drive that I'm willing to follow, that I'm willing to make changes for? 11:29, as I said that. Now we just jumped to 30. So yeah, 30, which is 11 and 3, 5. Change has to take place because this is the only constant, right? Just like the square between Lilith and Pluto, closing square, which is the crisis in consciousness again. We need to let go of the seeking of the validation from the external, right? This is the blind spot. We have to learn to trust the spirit. How are we going to do that? Going deep within, right? And then taking it out there into the outer reality, finding it within the depth of of your own being, and then you can take it out there. So this is all about creating from this new place, from this new level of consciousness that is the expansion of you, going deep within to truly reconnect and see how far you've come, and that you don't have to follow the same trail as everybody else, and you don't have to do what you've always done because you're not who you always were. because we keep changing every year, we becoming someone else, even from one day to another, because everything is constantly moving. All the planets, all the objects in the sky, everything is in a constant flow. So moon moved since yesterday, sun moved since yesterday, everything is continuously moving. So you are never the same person you were exactly 24 hours ago. So now we're looking at the cycle that began in September. You're not the same person you were in September, and you're not the same person you were a year ago, and you will not be the same person next time we have the new moon in Virgo in August and then September. Even between the August and September, the energy will be very different. And then going forward into the future, everything is always changing, and we changing with it. So we just learning to adjust. We just learning to adjust to these changes, but the changes are happening very quickly. So we need to create the foundation. We need to create it from inside out, right? And then we will see it manifest. So these closing phases, they are showing us what needs to, like the loose ends that need to be tied up in order for things to truly change. Because if we are still, so like, many times use this example, if the wardrobe is full, you cannot put any more in it. If the glass is full, you cannot pour any more in it. So with this full moon, lunar eclipse in Virgo, Virgo is all about the human journey, hero's journey, being of a service, but you have to be in service to yourself before you can be service to others, because your cup has to be filled, right? It's a sextile between Mercury and Cancer and Virgo, right? Well, I mean, it's a wide orb, but technically, yeah, Mars is sextiling at the moon, 5 degrees. Yeah, we can count it. Mars is sextiling the moon. Mars is obviously trined by the sun. This is already passing. Yeah, the sun already moved from that point. They already had a trine. But yeah, this is a very because this is a first trine, which is the Leo trine. This is a very supportive aspect because it's supporting us in creating Leo, creating this new sense of who we are and who we are becoming, which is a more empowered version of ourselves, because we're breaking free from this old guilt and shame that was being projected onto us by the external dynamics, and we're making a different choice. This is a third decan, 28 degrees, third decan of Libra, which is the Gemini decan, right? And also this is 28 degrees, that's again Cancer. Again, Cancer. Making a new choice, because your sense of value is not determined by someone else. Also, your sense of safety cannot be really found with external environments, because then you always feel disempowered, the Scorpio, right? So yeah, so there are a lot of adjustments that are taking place, and a lot of people are going through it, a lot of healing, a lot of purging, myself including, 1133. There is a lot of stuff that's changing for everyone. We all in this, and we all going through this. When the nodes are in Virgo and Pisces, then this is something that's affecting everyone, right? This is a collective energy of closing the old cycles and letting go of the past versions of ourselves, but the past contracts. That's what I feel it really is about. We're letting go of the past ways of being towards one another, towards ourselves, towards one another, towards the collective, towards the world outside of us. We're letting it go, because we didn't come here to live somebody else's life. We came here to embody the true essence of who we are and share our true soul signature in our own authentic way to contribute. And this is the new way of being in service. At the moment, we're still looking at the old way, like, okay, how can I serve, even if it means that I have to sacrifice, even if it means that I feel restricted, right? This is something that needs to adjust. This is something that we need to change, because of this Uranus making a trine to this eclipse, and the Uranus is on Capricorn decan. Like, no, like, for as long as you keep sacrificing, you will find people that will show you how this is not in alignment, because of how it makes you feel. It creates the contrast, and it doesn't make you feel good, because eventually everybody who sacrifices, and the longer they sacrifice, the more angry and resentful and bitter they become, or more sick, right? Again, Virgo, the health. So through all of these dynamics we have playing up here, we also recognizing that what needs to be adjusted in my reality, so I can find a sense of wholeness and well-being again. because we are all continuously moving on a rat race, on a hamster wheel, and consuming all this overload of information, most of which is not even helpful to us, because also with the Cancer over here, right? Mars in Cancer, trining the sun, and with and yeah, sextile in the moon, and also with the Virgo, the intestines. This is all to do like what are we ingesting, what is stuck. Also, this is Scorpio decan, right? Like what are we unable to let go of? This is the square. This is the square between Venus, Mercury, Chiron, and Mars. What are we afraid to let go of, right? Like people with strong Scorpio, sometimes they are afraid to go to public washrooms, for example. They holding on. Or generally, Scorpio people, it's hard for them to let go of things because they get so attached, right? So what are we holding on to that is connected to these past versions of ourselves that is not in alignment? Like this Venus and Mercury, they square in this Mars, right? This is closing square, crisis in consciousness. Our values are changing. The way we perceive reality is changing. Our contracts are changing. This is all Aries, this new beginning, this desire for something new. Like, I want a different experience. I want to experience this world differently. I don't want to be stuck in this continuous replication of the past, right? Like, we don't have to go through what our ancestors gone through and the people before them. Like, just because this is the history doesn't mean it has to be the future, right? And with the Chiron in the Sagittarius decan of Aries, the story that you have not yet experienced is hiding in the unknown. And the Chiron is the key, right? The key between Saturn and Uranus. And they are having a sextile, closing sextile for Saturn to Uranus. The key is in you becoming your own leader and not allowing someone else to determine your future for you, because they might not have your best interest as a part of their best interest, and you didn't come here to sacrifice. That was the learning of the past. That was the learning of the Piscean age. Now we are learning the Aquarian dynamic, right? This Pluto is still in a degree trine with the south node, and technically still like wide orb out of sign, but still we can say it's trining. Pluto is trining the eclipse, right? Pluto is trining the eclipse, 10-degree orb. So we are breaking free from the outdated patterns of the past that help us to survive by sacrifice, because the external authority said so. This is how it is, and this is what we all do. This is the Pisces age, right? One size that fits all. But that's not the way of the future, because we have Venus, our relational dynamics, and Mercury, the contracts, the way we think, the way we perceive reality, the way we communicate, right? This is all Aries, and Mercury is just about to go retrograde. And Chiron is the key to our subconscious, right? Key to Uranus, from Saturn to Uranus. It's in Aries, 21 degrees, the world card. Step outside of we are in this world, but we are not, many of us are not of this world. We came here to help, but we didn't come here to sacrifice. We didn't come here to help through sacrifice. We came here to help through becoming who we are here to become, and contribute through our authentic expression, through the lived life. Through Virgo. Virgo is the walking the earth, having the experience, the embodied experience, the lived life as a human, right? And this is all supported. We have this beautiful kite, and yet then two in conjunction, the Lilith and the North Node, and the Chiron and the Moon. This is the blind spots. But it's okay. Other people might not understand. Other people might not agree. Other people might judge, right? The Virgo, the criticism, they might judge. But you didn't come here to live other people's life. If you want to create a different story, you have the right to do so. You just have to feel worthy to do so, right? And then there is the square, the Jupiter. What choices are you making? Because it requires a process of metamorphosis, right? The 13, the death card. In order to create this new, in order to allow for the new to come, there's something that has to be gone, something that has to be released. With love, gratitude, and compassion, but a new space has to be created, because again, we cannot put any more things if the wardrobe is full. We cannot pour more into the cup that is full. There is something that has to be let go. And as the closing phases, does this still hold a meaning? The 29 degrees Neptune, what holds a meaning? What still holds a meaning, right? And then seeking the new value, seeking the new meaning. seeking the new way of thinking. Again, just because somebody says it's true, it doesn't have to be your truth. You decide, you choose. Does this help me feel more balanced or not? Right? Yeah, Lilith is ruled by Venus over there. Yeah, Neptune is also making in conjunction to Lilith. Almost exact, 28, 29 degrees. Yeah, these are all the blind spots. Not everybody will understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. But not everybody is meant to be the part of your journey going forward, because when we change, people around us has to change, and some people are not going to change. Some people didn't come here to play different roles. Some people didn't come here to create the new. They just came here to protect the old and offer the contrast, right? So it's up to each person to decide for themselves, this square, still the square to the eclipse, to the full moon in Virgo. This is where we can see the beginning of the splitting of the consciousness, the 5D, 3D versus 5D. People are just going to make a different choice. They're going to withdraw their energy and decide, I'm not going to consume this information. I'm not going to give my life force because it makes me feel disempowered. It's somebody I was. It's somebody I can identify as where I came from, right? The cancer, my heritage, my family, the memories, where I came from, the bloodline. But it doesn't have to be who I'm becoming, because you are the spirit, right? You can become whoever you want to be, because there is this unlimited potential of what it can be, right? Especially when you work with the quantum field, the Uranus. Everything is there for picking, for choosing, all the timelines. Also with the Gemini and the Jupiter, the timelines, the different timelines, the sextile, right? Not exact, but already within a degree orb. The timelines, the different timelines that are available, but we still deciding what is my timeline, who am I, because we are not yet in Aries, we are still in hibernation. The winter is not over yet for people in the northern hemisphere. We still near in the end, but we're not there yet. We are still in Pisces season, even though this is already a Scorpio decan, Aquarian degree, right? 23 degrees Pisces. Only another week of Pisces season, and then we enter into Aries season, into new astrological year. So who do you want to become? Where do you want to go with that? There is another year that's nearing its end. A new year is coming. What are the intentions? What is the price, in a sense, you're willing to pay? But it's not through the, again, it's not through the sacrifice. It's not through the I'll be of service, so then I'll be of a service in a because I can, right? Because I have the ability and stuff. But is that something that makes me happy? Is that something that I find a value in? Like people that dedicated their life to careers, and then they decide, well, I don't want to do this anymore. I just did it for money or prestige or something. I don't want to do it anymore. It doesn't hold the same value, the same meaning. Even if it did, maybe once it did, and now it doesn't. So there is a lot of opportunity for questioning, because again, Mercury as the ruler of this Virgo eclipse, it is stationed in retrograde the following day on the 15th. So it's going, and then it's going to go back into Pisces, right? Both Mercury and Venus, they're going to have the triple conjunctions. Venus is going to conjunct Neptune, North Node, Saturn 3 times, already conjuncted once. Mercury is going to conjunct Neptune and North Node again two more times. And also they're going to be sextile in Uranus 2 more times. And Pluto, right? Sextile in Uranus and Pluto, both of them 3 times. And also Mars. Mars is going to have another trine to North Node, even though now it's in a different sign, because the previous 2 times it was in Mars was in Leo and North Node was in Aries, being ruled by Mars at the time until January. And also Mars Saturn trine that's coming up too, the third one. They already had 2. So there are all these going over things, right? We have so many aspects that are happening 3 times, which again is the opportunity for co-creation, for partnership, like 2 that makes 3, right? 1 and 1 makes 3, because it creates a new energy, new expression. And because we have the free hits going back and forth, we have the opportunity to create something different. Like, okay, I did it this way. Oh, okay, it didn't work. Let me think about it. Let me go over it. And then, oh, okay, now I have the information. Now I have the experience, so I can do it in a different way. And that's literally what life is, especially with this Virgo, like we've been here so many times before, whether in the past, whether in the future, but the right here, right now this is where we meet, the present moment of time. But we all have an experience that we brought with us into this lifetime, right? Again, whether it's from the past reincarnations, future reincarnations, both, this planet, different planets, doesn't matter. But the soul, it has all that memory stored within. And we brought this into this lifetime that we currently experience in this pivotal time in human evolution, where so many things are changing, right? Everything technically. And we have the opportunity to create a different pattern, to create a different expression, to manifest something different. So right now we are in the like in between, right? The full moon in between, like in between the new moon in Virgo, even though we'll have two. But still, the full moon is the midpoint. We are in the in between, and we have the opportunity to decide, like with any full moon. With any full moon, it just depends what is the topic. In this case, it's your life, the meaning of your life. The sun is in Pisces, the moon is in Virgo, close in phase, close in phase. So yeah, what still holds a meaning and what lost the meaning now? And you cannot see it. You have to tune into it because this is an inconjunction. That which was is not going to give you the clear answer. Venus was the rule of the South Node, right, in Libra. Now, South Node is in Virgo. Now we have to put it into practice, right? You have to rely on your own lived experience. You have to learn to discern, is this the truth for me? With Mercury being the rule of Jupiter. Is this how I want to experience life going forward? Does this still hold a meaning? And then how do we create different pattern? It has to be done in a different way, not from the same place. So doing the same thing over and over and expecting different result is not going to make any difference, right? So how can we create something different? Through the quantum field, breaking the pattern, changing the relationships we hold towards ourselves and the other, relating in a new way. Co-creation with the spirit, you becoming your own authority. The only thing that's really in charge is the source, and you are extension of the source, so it's you. So yeah, so we have all these beautiful energies that are showing us and giving us a choice, right? With the Jupiter squaring, giving us the choice, giving us the opportunity to decide, what do I release? What do I leave behind in order to become this new version of myself? Because there are things that are outdated. There is all this new energy available to us already, and it's not a frequency match. If it doesn't feel good, whatever you're experiencing, it doesn't matter that once upon a time in the past, it was exactly what you wanted. If you're experiencing it now and you realize that this is not what I want anymore, I've been in the same job for 20 years, and the first day you started the job, you were so excited because it was exactly what you wanted. But now, not no more, no more. Everything changed. You change, everything changed, right? So we want something different, but sometimes it's hard to let it go because we are so over-identified with all these labels, with these memories, with the experience we've had. So that's why, we have this square over here, that there is this new desire, there is this new way of thinking that is coming through to us because we already experienced everything. We've been everywhere, right? With the South Node in Virgo, everything was already embodied. Mercury is going to go back into Pisces, so more and more of us are going to get downloads, to get downloads about what was. So it can help us to see the contract and decide about what we want it to become, what will be. And we are in the in-between. We are in between the two worlds right now. Yeah, especially with the Neptune on 29 degrees. Yeah, 29 degrees. And that's a sextile to Uranus. Still out of sign, sextile to Pluto. The 29 degrees. The analytic degrees of Pisces. The Scorpio decan. The Leo degree, creation. The continuous process of creation. because it never ends, it never stops. But now we are in a crossroads. We have the choice to decide what it will be going forward. And it's going to be different things for different people. And with this closing phase in Virgo, it's saying the time of us serving through sacrifice is over. It's over because Mercury is in Aries. There is a new way of serving, new way, which is more in alignment with the story you want to create. But it requires for a lot of things to change and face the emotions that come to the surface because of the attachment to the past and because of the conflict and contrast that we are experiencing, comparing what was with what is and what we want to be, to become. So there are a lot of emotions hiding in here, also because of the opposition, like the what was and what is becoming, and the what is coming is unseen. It is all just a vision, it's all just a dream, it's all just a hope. But we only see what was, the totality of what was, and that is giving that is creating the desire for something different. But we don't know what it is yet, especially with the Chiron making an in conjunction to the eclipse. We don't know what it is yet. So it's saying you need to trust, and also you need to realize that there are things that you can control, things you can't. But all in all, your higher self, which is the extension of the source, you are the extension of the source. The thing that is really in control is you, even though it's a different awareness of you, right? Because like us being incarnated in this physical body is just a fraction of our soul. Still, majority of who we are is in non-manifested form. But that thing, has your best interest as part of its best interest because it's you. So that's what I mean with the Saturn in Pisces. The only thing that's really in charge is the source, and you are part of the source. So is this something that even I struggle with myself, the hardest thing, to learn to just trust and surrender and have faith that everything that's showing up is going to be fine, even though it might not look that way now. And everything that we are experiencing that doesn't feel good is giving us the opportunity to tune into what would, to create the desire, to tune into the desire of like, okay, what would make me feel better, which is the opposition, the Libra. The contrast with the Jupiter being on a Libra decan, an Aries degree. Desire for the new contrast to, or the contrast is giving, the contrast is offering an opportunity for the desire to be born. Yeah, and from that we create new contrasts. Because at the moment, this world operates on this duality and polarity. Again, that's an opposition. Mercury in Aries. That means different things to different people. So all in all, I really feel that this chart, even though we do have this Aries and we have some other things going on there, but I still feel that a lot of that is like veiled because you have to find out what it means to you. So like me going in circles about this is not really going to give you the answers. Like I really feel that people really need to tune into themselves. Like, what does this mean to me? How am I experiencing this? What's showing up in my life? How do I feel about what's showing up in my life? What emotions are resurfacing that are reminding me of something else? So with this full moon, this is to me very introspective energy, even though we do have some masculine qualities over there, with the Aries stuff. But Venus is retrograde, it's this internalized process. But still, I feel very like energy that is, and obviously because yes, Mars is in the Cancer, and Mars is ruled by Moon, and Moon is ruled by Mercury. So even though Mercury is in Aries, it is still an internalized process because it's saying you have to go with, oh yeah, Aries, of course, ruled by Mars, yes, ruled by Mars. So yeah, so it goes back to Mars because of the rulership. Mercury is the ruler of the eclipse, but Mars is the ruler of Mercury, and Mars is in Cancer. And Cancer is ruled by Moon, which is in Virgo, and this is how we go in circles, the whole circle. And Mercury also being the ruler of South Node and being the ruler of Jupiter. For you to find the answers, which you don't even know what the questions might be too, you need to go within. This is the Hermit, the nine, right? The Hermit. And that's all about finding the direction, the guidance, right? The lamp with the star, the direction for the future, you only can find it within, no longer without, because the Saturn is closing to Sun, the node is closing to Sun, the South node is closing to the Moon, to the eclipse. Venus, Mercury closing to Chiron. Yeah, and this upcoming more conjunctions, the second and third for Venus and Mercury with North Node and Neptune, and for Venus, Saturn too. Yeah, 1156 again, 1111. I don't really know what else to say. I really feel that there is so much energy that is not available for us to logically try to understand. Because with the Mercury being in Aries, this is like we're starting from the scratch. We're learning to understand, and yeah, that's the 9 degrees exactly. I knew there was something on 9 degrees, and Mars is on 18, which is 9 as well. And also that's the moon card, right? Exactly, 18 degrees. 9 is the Hermit, 18 is the moon. Like, don't allow the past to create your future. The past is serving for us to learn from, right? It's the launching pad. It is the anchor point. It is something that we can refer back to, but just as a point of reference. If it doesn't feel good, it doesn't have to be your future, right? So this is what I feel like. There are so many things that cannot be logically understood and explained because it requires inner work. Also, with the Mars being on Scorpio decan, right? It requires inner work. So only you know, only you can find the answers that are right for you. Only you can understand what this really means to you. There is an illumination. So there are a lot of things that are becoming conscious to us and we becoming aware of in our inner world, on our inner landscape, because they are helping us to understand how far we've come and how far we've come, what it was all about and what was the meaning to it all and where do we go from here and what choice do we want to make to get there or to become that or to have that. So yeah. And also with the square, the dark side of the humanity, the 28, the 10, the reset point, the dark side of the humanity, because we all have the darkness and the light within us. The dark side of the humanity is becoming more and more noticeable, right? It's becoming more and more in our face because it needs to be transformed, right? With the Pluto in Aquarius. For as long as there are things hiding in the shadow and in our subconscious, right, in the shadow of our consciousness, they have a control over our life. That's why the unconscious is becoming conscious, so a new choice can be made. And that takes courage. That takes courage and that takes determination, diligence, consistency, right? This is very Virgo. Like there are very good qualities to Virgo. Virgo is the human's journey, right? So it's like your life, there are good things, there are things that are not so great, there are things that make us happy, there are things that don't make us so happy. That's the Virgo is the whole spectrum of the human experience. It encompasses everything. It's just a matter of how do I choose to look at it, right? How do I choose to define it? How do I choose to identify what I'm perceiving? Do I see it as a victim or do I see it as an opportunity for growth and evolution? So with the Mercury in Aries, it's saying, well, there is an opportunity for us to start perceiving things differently, because if we keep perceiving them the same way, then nothing will change. And I mean, everything is fine, everything is good, whichever way it goes, because you are the creator. It's just if it doesn't feel good, if the reality you are creating and experiencing doesn't feel good, then why keep recreating it? So again, going back to this Lilith in an exacting conjunction with Neptune and North Node, and then by proxy, the whole stellium in Pisces and Aries, there are a lot of things coming up to the surface that are collective patterns and dynamics that are helping us to want to choose something different, but we are not necessarily seeing it for what it is. We're seeing it just something bad and something that shouldn't be happening, and this is awful. We're not seeing it for exactly what it is, because for that we need to understand on a deeper level. These Pisces, you have to go into depth of your consciousness and understand it, see it as the source does. Like, what was the meaning to all of this? What is the meaning to us still going through this and experiencing this? So that's what I mean. There are so many layers. I mean, it's Virgo Pisces, so many layers, because the human experience is not simple. The soul's desire for incarnation might be simple, like just like, oh, I want to experience this, blah, blah, blah. But then being a human form, like there are all these details that creates the complexity of life, and that creates the opportunities for growth and expansion. And now we see the totality of everything that was with the North Node in Pisces, the flooding of all that was. And that is supporting us in breaking the pattern, in breaking free and creating a new foundation by becoming our own creator, conscious creator, and making the choice with regards to what do I want it to be? What do I want to become? Who do I want to be? What do I value? How do I think? What is my truth? Is it everybody else's truth? Well, that's irrelevant. Because the right people, with the Jupiter trine, well, I mean, it's 15-degree orb, but technically by the sign, Jupiter trine in the Lilith, not everybody has to agree, but it didn't come here to live other people's life. And also the people you will, that will resonate with you will join you. And that's what creates the diversity and the beauty of this world, that we are not the same and we didn't come here to do the same thing or experience things the same way. Then what would be the point to having 8 billion people on a planet, right? So anyway, guys, I'm gonna close with that because I'm just ranting now. But yeah, this cycle will end technically in August, but that's the 0 degree, the reset. Everybody in a new signs, right? Most people in retrograde over here. And then September, the totality, the 29 degrees, right? And this will be already in a new phase. This is in a new phase. What's this? Let's see. Yeah, 0 to 18, this is still closing phase. The 0 degree will be still closing phase. This will be the new phase, the September eclipse. This is the new phase. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right. Like I said, I'm gonna leave it with this. Stop share. Here we go. So yeah, and we have 12:03, so free, co-creation complete. I'm going to switch to my phone and pull some cards for this lunation, see what else wants to come through. But all in all, this is the illumination of the process that is as old as times, but we are supported in creating a different outcome of the process. And this will mean different things to different people. And we have the opportunity to tune in and to decide what it is for me. How am I experiencing this? How am I feeling this? How am I tapping into this? What is preventing me from having the experience I desire more? What is the contrast I'm experiencing? How does it make me feel? So there are all these opportunities for questioning. So this full moon and lunar eclipse are going to stir up a lot of things, because illumination, a lot of things are going to just become obvious, especially with the trine from Uranus, could be sudden and unexpected. And then Mercury goes retrograde. So it's like, okay, it's all coming up, regurgitated. And now you have opportunity to look at it in a new way, right? Because Mercury goes retrograde, Aries, then back to Pisces, and then you can let it go. Then you can decide this doesn't work for me anymore. I want something different. And yeah, and then with the next lunation in Virgo, August and September, the landscape will be different, because by then everybody will be in a new signs. Well, then moving back into old signs. So this whole year is like this, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, but we are edging closer towards the new. And how much faster, that depends on you, but this is not you are exactly where you need to be, and it's not about comparing yourself to someone else, because you're working on your own clock, right? Like you have your own inner compass, your own inner timing, and everything is always happening exactly where it's meant, perfectly orchestrated and supported by the spirit. It's just about being attuned to yourself, attuned to your inner guidance. Okay, guys, so that's it. I'll leave it with that. I hope that something I said was of a value. And if you would like to see what cards come up, then tune into part 1. And with that, I wish you a wonderful rest of the day. Have a nice eclipse, I suppose. And I'll speak to you again next week. Bye, everyone.